For millions of Americans, Ted Knight was the lovable, pompous news anchor Ted Baxter on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, a man so over the top that you couldn't help but laugh at him. His booming voice, perfect hair, and clueless arrogance made him one of TV's most memorable comedic characters. But behind that laugh, behind the charm and the applause, Ted Knight carried a darkness that few people ever saw, one shaped by pain, insecurity, and the relentless need to prove himself. Born as Tadeusz Władysław Konopka in 1923, Ted grew up in a working-class Polish-American family in Connecticut. Life wasn't easy. The world he knew demanded toughness, and showing weakness meant inviting ridicule. As a boy, he was shy and sensitive, but early on he learned to mask it with bravado, a shield that would later define both his public image and private struggles. When he returned from serving in World War II, Ted Knight carried more than medals. He carried trauma. The cheerful confidence people saw on screen was built on top of years of emotional scars. Those close to him often said that his humor wasn't just talent, it was armor. Ted could walk into a room and light it up, one co-star once said, but you could tell he was hiding something. Hollywood loved his sharp timing and booming voice, but off-camera, Ted Knight was known for a fierce temper and deep insecurities. He demanded perfection from himself and others, often pushing too hard. He wasn't cruel, a crew member remembered. He was just terrified of failing. That fear came from years of rejection before he found fame. For 2 decades, Knight struggled to make a living, taking any job he could find, voice acting, small roles, even janitorial work between auditions. When The Mary Tyler Moore Show finally made him a household name, the success almost felt unreal to him. Suddenly, the man who once couldn't afford rent was on billboards and magazine covers. But the fame didn't bring peace. In fact, it only deepened his inner conflict. People adored Ted Baxter, the vain buffoon, but Knight hated being mistaken for the character. He'd often tell friends, they laugh at him, not with him. And sometimes, I think they're laughing at me. His perfectionism made him hard to work with at times. Directors described moments where he'd explode in frustration when a scene didn't go right, then retreat to his dressing room, ashamed of his own outburst. It wasn't ego, one producer said. It was pain disguised as pride. Away from the spotlight, Ted Knight was a devoted husband and father. His wife, Dorothy, often grounded him when the weight of fame became too heavy. His children later revealed that despite his reputation as a tough man, he was incredibly tender at home, reading bedtime stories, helping with homework, and teaching them to stay humble. He wasn't a bully, his son said. He just didn't know how to show when he was scared. In his final years, after being diagnosed with cancer, Ted Knight softened even more. He spoke openly about his regrets, the people he'd hurt, the times he'd lost control, and the years he'd spent trying to be someone the world would accept. Fame doesn't fix you, he told a close friend. It just makes the noise louder. When he passed away in 1986, Hollywood mourned the loss of a true comedic genius. But those who knew him best mourned something deeper, a man who finally learned too late that he didn't have to be perfect to be loved. Today, when people rewatch The Mary Tyler Moore Show, they still laugh at Ted Baxter's ridiculous blunders. But if you look closely, there's a trace of the real Ted Knight behind that smile, a man America thought was the joke, when in truth, he was carrying more heartache than anyone realized.